Let's attempt the all general as well as the English the comprehension which has been asked by the UPSC in 2014. Firstly, we will read carefully all the passages and then we will try to reply the answer according to the query by author. So see, firstly here, read the following the two passages, answer item dash the flow is the passage. Your answer to these items should be based on the passage only. No, you have to, of course, implement here, impose your extra, of course, the intelligence here. So first, many nations now place their faith in the capitalism and the government choose it as their status to create the wealth for their people and a spectacular economic growth in the Brazil, China, India. After the liberalization of their economy is a proof of its enormous the potential, and however the global the banking system, the crisis, the economy, the recession have left the many bubble debt. Of course, the debate tend to be the focus on the free the market operation, the force on their efficiency, and their ability to self-correction. Issue of the justice, integrity, and the honesty are rarely elaborated to highlight the failure of the global the banking system and the policies of the system. Yes, they continue to justify the success of the capitalism and yes, they argue that the crisis was blips. They argument the betray and ideological bias with the assumption that is an unregulated the market is fair and competent. So assumption that an unregulated the market is fair and competent is that yes, the exercise of the private, the greed will be in the larger public interest. So definitely it's clear the mention that if you're trying to, of course, exercise the private investment, of course, laws. So definitely you have to intend, you have to the focus, you have to the encourage of the private sector by a free, of course, the market regulation act implementing. So definitely here would recognize the bidirectional the relationship between the capitalism and the trade, that the each reinforce the other surely the more honest the conceptualization of the benefited of the interest the amongst the is the powerful the players who have benefited from the system the bias and ideology is needed the focus on so the also the creations should be highlighted result gross inequity. So let's attempt the question, my dears. The question will be easy because the comprehensions are totally clear. So because you know these all have been the mentioned that so we are the emerging like that so the Brazil, China, and so the India. But that there is going to if you investigate in the reality then that falls really and the false the capitalisms. So definitely and the free market, how you will enhance the private sector to investment in the public as well as the private sector. So see, question the first apologist of the free market system, the court, the passage, the believe in that, of course, self-ability of the correction, that is the clear the mention here. Because here, see, I have highlighted here, of course, the ability for the self-corrections. Because everything, just I the government has to play the role as an umpire, that's all. But everything, of course, the private sector should play the role as the players. Everything he has to do. Because if the player is going to the mistake, then definitely there should be designation of the player to the correction, self-correction, of course. So all the same here, the materials. And then the passage with reference to the ideological the bias, the passage implies that is the free market, the fair and the competent. The clear the concepts is a very easy comprehension here. And I assured you dear, if you just try to attempt in the English, general comprehension as well as the English, and then definitely this will be easy for you to attempting to. Of course, the first is the correct answer. So the let's see third number, the exercise the private gate. Well in the lies the public interest from the past refers to the false ideology of the capitalist. It is clear, of course, the message of this the passage and is the underline of the religious the claims to the claims of the free market. It's not just we eliminate of the twos, the be gone, of course. Here now 3, show the benevolent to the face of the capitalism. No, benevolent is going to the, of course, that's so the kindness show. That is definitely false. So 3 is also here is going to the wrong. So now that we have the choice, 1 is absolutely, so 4 is also wrong. Now we have a 50-50. Ignore result of gross inequity, of course, in the last line. C. Yes, it has been clearly mentioned that here ideology is needed. The focus on the wealth creation should be highlighted. Resultant to the gross inequity. Very clear. So first we will go for 4. It's going to be a C answer because 1 and 4 here is correct. Now let's add other comprehensions. Second passage. My dear, here second passage. Firstly we will go through carefully, then we will attempt. It's not easy in a Hindi, but in the English, of course, it's easy. That's why, of course, we will go through the firstly and try to clear the conception, what they're asking, and then according to the query, we will reply the answer. So now, see. Net profit are the only 2.2% of the total asset for the central public sector and the taking lower than for the private corporate sector. While the public sector or the state-led entrepreneurship they play the important role in the triggering deindustrializations is involving the development and needs the comparatively less than satisfactory the performance of the public sector. Enterprises, of course, the mastering of the private sectors, the most large the social base. Now, available for expanding entrepreneurship and there is the growing industrial capabilities to enforce the competition. Policy should be suggest, of course, that the time has to come to review the role of the public sector. What should be the portfolio, the composition of the government be, and what shouldn't remain all remain static at all times. So airline industry works well as the purely the private affair. And the opposite in rural road and whose sparsity tariffs max. As we know, tolling and viable have to be on the, of course, the balance sheet of the state. If the government didn't own the rural road, they wouldn't access singularly. Of course, the public health, the capital in our town and the city will be, city will need to come from the public sector. Equally, of course, the preservation and the improvement of forest the cover will have to be new priority for the public sector asset. So, take the example of this tells with zero, of course, the near zero tariffs in India is the globally the competitive the market for the metal and the Indian the firms export the steel into the global market. The West demonstrate that there is no the gap in the technology Indian the company or the buying of the global steel the company, which show there is no the gap in the capital. Of course, the availability and the other there is the condition the private ownership work best. So of course we have to cross the private sector. Definitely the private ownership is clearly the responsible Of course, the regulating industry that ranging from the finance to the infrastructure, where the government has instead of performed the function of the regulation, and the multiple the competitive firms are located in the private sector. Here, the simple and the clean is solution. The government is the umpire and the private sector as the player is the watch the works the best in the many of this the industry. Yes, we have the largest share from the government ownership. Where, as we know, the my dears, where the productivity tend to be lower, the fear of the bankruptcy is absent. Definitely, one should be noticed here, the my dears. Fears the bankruptcy, of course, the fear of the bankruptcy is absent if we enhance of the private, of course, in the banking sector also. I mean, so the risk of the asking the money from the taxpayer is the present. There is also the conflict of the interest between the government as the owner, as the regulator, and the formulation and the implementation of the competition. The policy will be more vigorous, and the fear if the government and the company are out of the action. So definitely role and the actions should be reduced of the government in the any expenditure, in any entrepreneurship. So let's attempt the questions now. So fourth number, let's see. As we know, my dear, the question is the first, and that according to the passes, what is the reason for the saving? That time has to comes to review the role of the public sector. It has been declared, the mention here, that public sector doesn't perform the satisfactory points that we notice, of course. And the clearly, so 2 is the correct here. So we will choose here, of course, here that 2 is absolutely correct. So A gone, of course. Now the public sector has lost its relevance in the industrialization process, nor the clearly mentioned here. So of course they don't promote the inclusive growth as well as the satisfactory performance. It has been clearly mentioned in the 2 to 3 lines of the passage. So definitely, of course, 1 is going to be eliminated here. 1. So I mean D is also gone now. So now let's see the entrepreneurship in the private sector is the spanning. Of course, we have to enhance if we would like to, and here's the effective competition. The policy are available now. Definitely after globalization, liberalization, and the privatization, as we know that since 1992, of course. So definitely we can the concern here 2 is absolutely correct, 3 is also, and 4 is also. So what is going to be a C will be here answer, no doubt here. So C will be. Now according to the passage, the road should be in the domain of the public sector, only the rural development. See, first option, rural development, the work is the domain of the government only. That is not of course the mandatory, that should be domain of the only of the government here, the accountability and the responsibility. But the one thing is the private sector, they can't have, of course, the monetary gain in this. Definitely because the private sector can't have the monetary gain in this. So definitely we believe it is clear the mention in the comprehension. Why not C? Because the government taxes the money from the taxpayer. Yes, hence it is the responsibility of the government only. That is not going to be, of course, the private sector is also playing the good role in the society also. Because suppose, of course, Bombay History Society, yes, is playing a good role for the conservation of the culture, of course. So definitely the measures, we will be here, the private sector need to have any social, needn't to have any social responsibility. No, it hasn't been mentioned there. So according to the comprehension, we have to go. So definitely is going to be a big correct here. Now next, In the portfolio, the composition of the government refers to the public sector asset, the quality. Of course, the investment of liquid asset, no, that will be want, of course. So sorry, that's want. So is going to be wrong, of course. Is also wrong because the private sector asset quality is not going to the mention here. The mixture of the government investment in the defense industrial sector, of course, it's totally clear the conception because we have to enhance on the what is the meaning of a species, my dear. If you know, if you are the serious UPSC aspirant, what is the LPG, then definitely you will be able to reply so without going through the full comprehensions. So the mixture of the government investment in the defense industrial sector, why the government is trying to reduce his, of course, share in the air industry. Why the steel industry is globalized, of course, the globalized, the competitive. So definitely the materials. I mean, we have to reduce the mixture. Of course, the mixed investment we have to promote the 7 number. The other the players, the government has the power and the private sector, the players, because yes, the government has the control over the private sector. No, that is not the mention. Yes, the government is ultimately in the policy, the formulation. No, the government is the prescribed norms of the fair, the play by the private. It has been clearly mentioned. Of course, the government has to play the role as the, of course, umpire, and the private sector has the place to the player. So definitely, if the government is going to be the regulatory body, then that will be designation of the, of course, the prescribing the norms of the fair, the place by the private sector is going to be. So definitely, it's easy, totally. Now, further comprehension, let's attempt in the another video tutorials.